gotta say, I've actually never watched the intro video straight through. I never noticed the Vi Sikahema, punch in there. That's the first time I noticed that at the end there. Like that little touch there. Welcome to the All About the Birds flagship show on our network, the All About the Birds weekly report. We're just a threesome tonight. Sorry, I was watching too much Lenny Dykstra earlier. So we're just a threesome tonight. Johnny Uleka, Chip Keggy, myself, Phil Stiefel. Jeff Warner went to the Phillies game today. Maybe he'll make it later in the show. Maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But right now, it's just the three of us, running along here. We got to shout out our sponsors before we get started real quick. Hempbombs.com, premium CBD products. All these promo codes are AAT Birds. Hemp Bombs gives you 20% off your first order. 99jerseys.com, great customized fun jerseys from all different movies and all. Again, 20% off with AAT Birds. Of course, there's our new sponsor, manscaped.com. Not only do you get 20% off with the promo code, but you also get free shipping with all your orders. And of course, your balls will thank you. And we've got a new sponsor. We're still working out the kinks, but Statement Games. It's a great free fantasy website. Make sure you check their website out, statementgames.com. We're even going to have a new show. We're still working out the details on it. Stay tuned. Focus on our social media. We'll get you all the information on Statement Games as the weeks are coming. Topic of the week and tonight's agenda. So the main question of the night, we came up with it before the free agent signing information. We're going to get into that first. But real quick, tonight's topic is what and how are we going to judge success for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles in 2021. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts specifically, some other players. We're going to touch on the Jets trade for the Carolina Panthers of Sam Darnold, what that does. Yes, see, I'm wearing my Masters jacket, Jason, tonight as well. It is Masters week. I wasn't going to say anything. Thanks for noticing my pretty green jacket here. We're going to touch on that Sam Darnold Panthers Jets trade. We're going to talk about the Nick Sirianni video and all the hype that's getting as well, obviously. But to start, gentlemen, the Eagles made two huge free agent signings today. Besides Eric Wilson, linebacker from Minnesota, and Jordan Matthews-Howard, running back from lots of different places. I know Johnny's really bullish on the Eric Wilson linebacker from Minnesota signing, so I'm going to let him start, and then I'm going to smash it to pieces. So, Johnny, Eric Wilson's 1 year, up to $3.25 million deal. The full details haven't been released, so we'll see about how much of it's guaranteed and how much not as the days go on. But thoughts on Eric Wilson as your new starting middle linebacker of the Philadelphia Eagles?
So what has everyone been bitching about, complaining about? They need linebackers. You want linebackers. You got a linebacker that fits a system, that fits a scheme, that was with the linebackers coach Nick Rallis in Minnesota, was with Jonathan Gannon his rookie year. He's basically ascended each year that he's played. Yes, he had 122 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, but also he is probably, he's definitely the best coverage linebacker on this team because there's not many good linebackers even on this team, but he's one of the best coverage linebackers in the league. And what do you need on a defense? You need to be able to, cover players. Yes, he's not the best against the run, but Nate Gary last year couldn't cover anything. So you have a lot of issues. And I went a little step further is Eric Wilson, 69% completion percentage allowed, 74.3 passer rating allowed, 10 hit, and then he had 10 pressures and all that. Darius Leonard, who's one of the best linebackers in the league, 81% coverage percentage, 109.2 rating. I understand it's not, it didn't move your needle or anything like that, but it's an upgrade
not at
because
all.
He's fit the system and he's going to be able to step right in. And yeah, he'll be probably the nickel Mike linebacker. But for you to say it's not a good – no, listen.
You're saying that he's a good linebacker, and maybe he's better than his stats say. Everybody's jumping all over these 122 tackles last year, okay? 122 tackles means absolutely jack squat to me, and here's why. Do you know how many of the – if you look at the top 5 linebackers last year, or top 5 defensive players, period, in tackles last year, only one of them made the playoffs. So every bad team has a linebacker that leads their team in statistics. It means nothing, okay? It means you have a bad front four. It means you have a bad defense. It means you have a bad team when your linebacker is leading you in tackles. if you're going to get a guy like Eric Wilson, I'm sure he's a really nice guy, and I'm sure he's a decent football player. He's going to be 27 at the start of the season or a week or two into the season. You already got a 27-year-old in Alex Singleton, okay? You don't need to sign a non-needle mover when you've got young linebackers that haven't seen the field because you had a team not develop them, okay? If we don't know what we have there. So if you're going to have a guy be okay, you might as well run out your young kids and see what they have instead of bringing in a guy that is, he's okay.
Yeah, but you're saying, Davion Taylor, Sean Bradley, TJ Edwards, to me, Eric Wilson is definitely a huge step above them. And how do you know?
We don't know that yet because we haven't seen Davion Taylor and Sean Bradley on the field.
But do you know what Eric Wilson is going to be in this defense? Did you watch enough?
He's going to be a starter that's going to get a lot of tackles if our front four sucks, and that's it. Chip, chime in.
So I think what George said right here is exactly it. Eric Wilson is a good linebacker in this league, which is awesome. He needs to work on his run coverage, but that's fine because Alex Singleton is great at the run, terrible at the pass coverage. So if Wilson is better at the pass coverage, they have together formed one able-bodied NFL linebacker.
Need to form one body.
Right.
This is now, like the Transformers here.
But here's the thing. We know this team is expected to be bad. We know this team doesn't give a crap about defense. We know this team, even signing any linebacker is a big deal. The fact of the matter is that Sean Bradley, Davion Taylor, they're young guys. So, yes, we don't know what we have with them. You need veteran experience above them to kind of show like how you navigate through this. You have a brand new coaching staff that's
they signed Nigel Bradham, and everyone thought that was terrible. It seemed to be a pretty good deal.
The Eagles signed Nigel Bradham this season?
No, I'm talking about when they signed Nigel Bradham.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is that this team, this season right now, look, it's a 1-year prove-it deal. All these 1-year deals aren't really make or break. It's a 1-year prove-it deal. The money's not exceptional. He's going to want to play. I've said this for the past couple of weeks. These 1-year deals are great because these guys are coming in wanting to dominate so that they can get the big money. And the team benefits off of that because it's 1 year. If you like them, cool. If you don't, you're not breaking the bank to sign an okay linebacker. It's not. Look, this is not that big of a deal.
I think my opinions on him are being misconstrued. I'm not saying that he's a bad football player. I'm just saying he's not a great football player. There's no reason.
He's not. But what great football player wants to come here?
Johnny said he's a really good player with a lot of talent and a lot of potential. At 27, potential is done. You're not getting much better at the point of 27. You both brought up a point that his biggest weakness is against the run, right? Hold on a second. If his weakness is against the run, we've got Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, and Antonio Gibson are the 3 running backs in our division. We don't need linebackers that can't stop the run. We need linebackers that can stop the run.
But the way this defense is built, the logic is that the front 4 will stop the run. If they get to the linebacker, then we've already failed because the strength of this defense
that's why
is
he
the
led the
defensive
team
line.
in tackles. That's why Alex Singleton led the team in tackles.
Yes, he did.
10 games last year or whatever it was he started.
And Alex Singleton is on a prove-it deal as well.
Yeah, and I just think people are overreacting to the signing and making it out to be much bigger and much more, genius of Howie than it is. It's not. It's okay.
The team has to fill 53 roster spots.
And
the team has to fill 53 roster spots. And I would rather Wilson over the player that we're going to get in the 6th round of the draft because someone has said, hey, you need to draft a linebacker this round. Because let's call it like it is. Micah Parsons is not going to be an Eagle, and I'm upset by that because I love Micah Parsons. He is a dominant player. But again, this team is putting players in for 1-year deals that benefit both the team and the player, and they're not breaking the bank on it. It's okay. It's okay.
And that's all I'm trying to get across my point. Again, it's built on competition. It's not a great signing, but it's a depth signing. That's all it is. The Anthony Harris was a better signing. Yeah, probably. But, it's kind of, we have to temper our expectations on what Eric Wilson is. He's okay. That's it.
George, I look at your comment, man. I
wish. That'd be a dream come true.
wish, but you listened to Jeffrey Lurie's press conference. He said, this is an offensive league. I love offense. If they pick at 12, it'll be an offensive player. If they pick in the first round, it'll be an offensive player. They will not draft an exceptional high quality unless it's JC Horn. I know we're all kind of set. I know, we're all kind of settling on JC Horn at 12, and I'd be fine with that. But I also think, and again, me on repeat here, they're going back to 17, 18 still.
Yeah. Johnny, I'll let you close the Eric Wilson part of it, since you're so bullish on him,
The only thing that I'm saying here is the productivity, to be able to get a linebacker that can give you multiple interceptions, be able to get turnovers and be able to do something like that, cause some disruption. That's what I'm saying is a good fit and great. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler, all pro. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a good fit. And if he can get you turnovers, something that we have not seen from really any defensive player, to me, it's an upgrade. And he knows the defense. He knows what the scheme. He's played under Gann. He's played under Rollis. He knows the scheme. So for me, it's a win-win, and it's a low-risk, high-reward type of signing.
Yeah, it's a low-risk, a decent reward potential signing. And that's where I don't think there's a high reward potential. Because even if he plays, if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. If he plays out of his mind, makes the Pro Bowl all-defensive team, guess what? We're still not going to sign him next year. Because he's going
to work up such a contract demand that he'll go elsewhere.
That we're not going to pay him. So it's really not a win-win situation. It's a win. Maybe he exceeds expectations, but that's it. They also made another huge signing today. Astronomical signing today. Hell, it makes the Eric Wilson signing look like a little dot on, you know what I'm saying. Chip, what was the other signing today?
The Philadelphia Eagles decided
Are you only Chowie Kegsman out here for this one?
I am heated about this one. The Philadelphia Eagles decided to waste yet another season on Jordan Howard. And I like that you have now dubbed him Sir Jordan Matthews Howard because he is like a hemorrhoid. We cannot get rid of this guy. Let me tell you why I have a problem with this deal. I brought out my yellow notepad for this, so that's how you know it's serious.
Eat your notepad.
So I went on to a free agent tracker, right? I went on to a free agent tracker to see some of the available running backs, right? Some of the available running backs that the Philadelphia Eagles decided to pass on in lieu of, let's get back, Jordan Howard again. So here are some of the available names. Giovanni Bernard, who was released today, right? Upgrade. Todd Gurley, if you want the hammering running back, Todd Gurley, even with all the tread on his tires, is a better option than Jordan Howard. TJ Yeldon, better receiving back. Jerick McKinnon, better receiving back. LaShawn McCoy, 2 Super Bowl rings. Le'Veon Bell, even James Conner, Kutztown's own Craig Reynolds. There are other running backs. Instead, on an offense that allegedly is going to be centered around the idea of, we're going to have running backs that can catch the ball. We already have Miles Sanders being a problem. You have signed Jordan Howard, who last season carried the ball 35 times for a total of 60 yards, 1.7 yards per carry. Yep. Abysmal. His career receiving numbers, 83 catches, 634 yards. He is not a receiving back. He doesn't fit this offense. I don't understand. If you have a new offense, if you have a new regime, if you have a new team, why bring back the same old players?
Look, so first off, and a couple people have commented, and I know Johnny was going to say it too, it's a 1 year, vet minimum. It's not even a guaranteed contract.
No, it's
most
not.
likely he doesn't even make the team. If he does, it means Adrian Killens probably doesn't make the team, which I know would upset Johnny a whole hell of a lot. But the fact of the matter is the exact stat that you said. Some of those other guys, I know Giovanni Bernard. Everybody was talking about him, including me today, because he's a great third down back. He stepped in when Joe Mixon's hurt in the years past and all. So but he's looking for more money or a team where he's going to get the ball. He doesn't want to be the second, fiddle to Miles Sanders. The problem with Jordan Howard is that 1.7 yard before the trade deadline, everybody wanted the Eagles to trade for Jordan Howard. And I was on this show saying, why? 1.7 yards a carry. It's awful. The guy cannot run. It's not like the Dolphins' offensive line was as bad as the Eagles, which was way worse. So Jordan Howard coming here, I could see Johnny makes points on Eric Wilson. There is literally 0 point that anybody can make that would make Jordan Matthews-Howard a good point of being here.
Well, what George says in this comment right here, I was going to bring up Jordan Wilkins in Indianapolis. It's the same role as him. If he's on the roster and he doesn't make it, his vet minimum is $990,000. He cuts, you get the money back, basically. So it's not, it's he's there, but for me, for people to complain and say they're not going to draft a running back, that's not true. They still could draft a running back, but also I know you're talking about all these guys out of the backfield. Who says that Sirianni and this staff don't think they can get the production from Boston Scott that you saw in 2019? So there's a little bit of that, but also they could draft a running back that could good receiver out of the backfield too. The Howard thing really is just okay. If he's there, he's there.
You're copying my line. You're copying my Eric Wilson line.
There is no reason for this. This is so you look at the running backs we have on the roster. Miles Sanders, we know he's got to get the fumbling problem under control. We got to become a better wide receiver as far as coming out of the backfield, and we've got to stay healthy. That's his burden. Boston Scott is undersized. So you can't say that, well, they're going to try and get the production out of Miles Sanders, and then Jordan Howard is the guy. Jordan Howard is supposed to be your run into the line, get yards guy. Run into the line, get yards guy. You can't say that he's there to fill up Boston Scott's job. You can't say that he's there to spell Miles Sanders. They're different types of running back.
Good when you had a different offensive line too. But
it could.
But see, the thing is, Jordan Howard was on a different offensive line with Miami and still couldn't, run the ball. Like Jordan Howard literally he's done. He's only 26. But he's young. You talk about Todd Gurley having not much tread left on the tires. Jordan Howard has no tread left on the tires.
Right.
It's just
that's what I'm saying. At least if you're looking for a needle mover,
it's going to take practice reps away from the young guys, the Huntleys, the Killins, whoever else is. I don't know if Holyfield is still on the roster or not at this point. It's going to take reps away from whatever rookie they draft in the 6th round. We don't need to be taking practice reps away from these young running backs.
I mean, I think the thing for me is like if you're looking for a needle mover, right? Jordan Howard, the only reason why he's moving the needle is because we're infuriated by it. Yeah, I am louder. I am more animated. You're right.
Funny, George, this wasn't even on the agenda for tonight till about 5 o'clock when this news broke. This is all just like added. We still have a whole show to get into. So plan on staying awake till like 3:30 a.m.
needle movers, right? You look at needle movers, you put okay, look, it's not a good signing in 2021, but if you go ahead and sign a Todd Gurley, at least it's like, oh crap, maybe he'll, quote, return to form. Jordan Howard never had a form to return to. You know what I mean? Duke Johnson, available. There is this laundry list. Adrian Peterson available. Frank Gore somehow still available. These are, I know. I'm not saying sign any of these guys. Let me backtrack. I'm not saying sign Frank Gore
for the second time.
Right. Maybe he'll show up to one signing. Alfred Morris available. I'm not saying sign any of these guys. What I'm saying is that you're settling with all of these names on your needle mover of Jordan Howard. Why?
Okay. So we'll just
close it out, Johnny.
I'm going to end it like this. If Jordan Howard makes a team and looks somewhat decent, Chip has to buy a jersey, wear it on a show. All right. Next point.
No.
Deal. And I'll buy a Rex Burkhead jersey because he's still available.
There's so many.
Hold on, wait. My fullback conversation. I would rather sign a fullback than him.
The fullback right there. Yes. Let's get a little banana crazy here. Let's get into the first segment that was originally planned for tonight. Okay, we all saw Nick Sirianni's excellent banana film study breakdown. Okay, I'm going to say banana at least 10 more times in the next 5 minutes. Okay,
banana hammock.
Banana. Anyway, so guys. What have we learned from that video? It was about a 25-minute video. I took a boatload of notes, left them on my pizza shop desk. They're not here with me, so I'm going to guess on what I saw. What stood out from you guys on this video? I'm sure you guys all watched it and all. Personally, before you guys get into it, I think too much is being made of this video because it was produced and made by the Eagles to make Nick Sirianni look good. Now, you could pull certain parts of it out that stand out and everything and make him, that where he actually shows his football IQ and knowledge and all. But there's no way a video put out by the Eagles on the Eagles YouTube page was going to make Nick Sirianni look anything but banana perfect. Chip?
So here's what I discovered. I discovered why a non-football owner, Jeffrey Lurie, hired Nick Sirianni. Because Nick Sirianni is a very excitable guy, and he's very passionate.
So are we tonight.
So are we tonight, right? He's very passionate. He's very excited. He's animated with the scene. He does all these things. And you're Jeffrey Lurie. You just had, I mean, at this point, you're insulting vanilla ice cream when you say you're comparing it to Doug Peterson. You had transparent ice cream, Doug Peterson as the head coach. It's a shift. So you're going, well, Doug Peterson lost the locker room. Doug Peterson didn't do this. Doug Peterson didn't do this. Here's Nick Sirianni breaking down films. And if you're in this epic long interview and Nick Sirianni is this animated the entire time, then regardless of football knowledge, regardless of anything else experience, you see a guy that loves football, loves the game, doesn't have a filter like George just said, and the players will respond to him. Now, like Phil said, the production from the Philadelphia Eagles was wonderful. I'm not buying anything that happens until I start to see him coach. What I will say is it made sense to me that Jeffrey Lurie hired this guy.
Yeah. Johnny, so I'm sure you watched it as well. I mean, there's so many terms, not just banana, that stood out. And the way he talked and the way he broke down plays, he basically was breaking down plays for those that didn't watch it. From Andrew Luck, from Jacoby Brissett, from Phillip Rivers, all the different quarterbacks that rotated through Indy. But if you watch all the videos, there's something very similar. He's focusing on the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. Where are we having some of our biggest question marks on this team?
Quarterback and
wide receivers and quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what his system is built around, and some other things I'm remembering from my notes I'll get to, but were you happy with what you saw? Was there anything that stood out on the quarterback wide receiver aspect of it?
I liked his enthusiasm. I liked the way he spoke, breaking down the plays, excitable. It's just, what you see is what you get. Like what they said, to me, it's just watching it got me pumped up for the season. Like I like him as a person just because of how he talks, and it's not this fakeness of, just putting a show on in front of everyone. It's just how he is. Because there was videos from the draft last year with the Colts with Frank Reich and just the emotion he has. But like some of the routes and some of the things they were doing, I'm watching it, envisioning some of the Eagles players like a Jalen Reagor doing some of these routes, or a John Hightower, or these other guys. And it's what he does best. He coaches up especially the wide receiver position and what our biggest issue was. And I just feel that he can help in a lot of ways of taking pressure off the quarterback, helping the receivers. And I feel like that's what I got a lot out of watching that, is that you can see a lot of, I feel it's going to be fun in terms of using what the strengths of these players are, which we did not see last year.
My fear is exactly what you said, though. See, we don't know what we have in wide receivers because the Doug Peterson regime did not groom any of these wide receivers.
No, not at all.
But all these plays that he was breaking down, first off, you had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks and Jacoby Brissett, running the offense, okay? You had an offensive line in Indy better than what the offensive line here last year. I know it was injured, and if everybody's injured, our offensive line will be better and all. But a lot of what he was showing in those videos was talking about really fine technique on these wide receivers that we haven't seen Hightower, Watkins, Reagor, Whiteside, any of these guys be able to do. Sticking your foot and making a move, making cuts, throwing defenders
how they play.
Right. And
we haven't been proven that they could do that.
You've heard him say, so once you sift through the narrative of he can't do press conferences, he can't do this, he can't, but once you sift through all the naysayers, right? You have heard him consistently say, we are going to practice really hard. We're going to go back to fundamental football. We're going to improve on the little things. We're going to build systems in place. And then from there, we're going to do the rest of it.
Yeah, it's what George said there at the end of his statement, what can be salvaged.
Right.
Because if you really think about it, after last year, we can probably agree, maybe, I'm speaking out of turn here, that out of Reagor, Hightower, Watkins, Ortega-Whiteside, all 4 of them aren't going to work out on this team.
No.
And 2 of them might only work out and actually be successful. But that's what we're setting up for. We're retooling, rebuilding, whatever you want to call it. But the point is right now for us to, figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work.
And
but
remember,
the problem is none of it might work. And then we're in real deep shit.
Right. And remember, going into last season, the expectation was not that Quez Watkins and Hightower were supposed to be contributing members of the team. They were supposed to basically redshirt their rookie year and then become, but with the injuries to Deshaun Jackson, right, but because the injuries to Deshaun Jackson, the injuries to Alshon Jeffrey, Goodwin opting out, all of a sudden, Rager went to, I have to be the number 1 wide receiver. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who should have been at that level, became very obvious that he was not. So now, George, the comments tonight from George are superb.
And I know they haven't been coached, George. I said that a few minutes ago. Doug Peterson's regime, even before Doug Peterson's regime, nobody has developed wide receivers in Philadelphia. Right. When was the last time we had a wide receiver go to a Pro Bowl?
They haven't developed players. They haven't developed players. It was bringing players to meet a goal, and then we'll also add rookies in. We'll add in these young guys because that's what we're expected to do. But they're left high and dry without anything. Like Dallas Goedert, for example, has not been developed. No. He was just naturally where he was and told, hey, you're going to play behind Zach Ertz, and if you turn into something cool. Now where the expectation is, okay, you're the starting tight end on this team. Do X, Y, and Z. So us as fans, we're jumping all over them. We're saying that these guys aren't doing enough. How can you expect them to learn the NFL game when the coaches won't teach it to them?
Yeah, wide receiver is one of the slowest developing positions in the NFL.
Absolutely. And unless you're a freak of nature like Justin Jefferson.
You put a 5th and 6th round guy out there in Watkins and Hightower, expecting them to make immediate impacts. And they just weren't ready. Johnny.
So, looking at Indianapolis, and you talked about the receivers, and you talked about the film study and everything. The receivers they had on the team, Chester Rogers, undrafted guy. Paris Campbell, who's always been hurt. He's been a 2nd-round guy who's been hurt most of the time. You have a guy like Marcus Johnson that they use that was an undrafted guy. You had guys, T.Y. Hilton is the outlier there, but Michael Pittman was a rookie last year, and he looked pretty darn good after the second half of the season. It's development. And you have guys, Zach Pascal, he was in the same boat as like a Travis Fulgham type. They both went to the same school. They're almost like the same type of receiver. So you have those, those type of players. If I named all those receivers, you're not saying, oh my God, look at all the stars they had on the team. That's why they were good. It's the development. And that's the position that he is successful at because it's proven. He's proven that because he's been there.
So here's the thing though. So you say they didn't have, major stars. They developed those players and all, but what they did have, they had a really sound offensive line. And again, 2 of those 3 years they had, Andrew Luck was on a trajectory to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Whether he will be or not, it's probably not. You had Philip Rivers for 1 year.
But Philip Rivers struggled the previous 2 seasons, and he got to Indianapolis, and all of a sudden he looked really good.
Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. Okay,
38-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Who will go in the Hall of Fame? And Jacoby Brissett, who we all wanted to be brought in here to be Hurts's backup in case Hurts failed because he runs the same style offense. So the question is, will our offensive line? If you watch those videos, a lot of those plays that he was showing were 7-step drop routes, shotgun 5-step drop routes that you need protection, and then you need a quarterback that has the arm strength to get that ball down the field, to throw those deep out patterns and stuff like that.
And everything we've seen, that's not Jalen Hurts.
Can our line protect him? And can Jalen Hurts make those plays? Hopefully, Nick Sirianni makes adjustments to that to Hurts' strength, like we keep saying he's going to do over and over again. Will he?
We have to. Well, he has to, because that's not Jalen Hurts' game. From everything we have seen underwhelming NFL arm strength from Jalen Hurts, which
I disagree.
But that's what you've seen. You've seen underwhelming arm strength. We didn't have a great quarterback on the roster last season. And we're now 4 games into this, or after a 4-game total sample size, the big story on one of the radio stations today, and I don't want to mention them, was, they haven't named Jalen Hurts the starter. Okay. Nick Sirianni said flat out, we're going to try every single position. Now, Joe Flacco was not the starting quarterback of this football team, but You have to leave. You remember you also said that we weren't going to trade Carson Wentz because he's like a part of your hand. Well, now Howie Roseman's walking around with 9 fingers. We weren't going to fire Doug Peterson. Well, Doug Peterson's gone. Jim Schwartz, well, he might retire. No, he signed with the Tennessee Titans. Like every single thing that the Eagles have done this season.
On the agenda.
What's that?
I said we didn't even add that to the agenda.
Yeah, because Jim Schwartz didn't want to be here. Carson Wentz didn't want to be here. Doug Peterson didn't want to be here. So what has happened is the Philadelphia Eagles have gotten into a PR nightmare where everything that they say, it's like opposite day. No one trusts them. So Jalen Hurts is not the starting quarterback of this team, regardless of the jersey number switch. And now he's the number 1 QB and he's QB1 and where's number 1? Because that was the big story going into tonight's show was they changed some jerseys. Jalen Hurts has underwhelming arm strength. So Nick Sirianni has to change the offense to fit what he wants Jalen Hurts to be successful with. He also has to change what the wide receivers can and cannot do at this point in their careers.
Is Dak Prescott's arm strength wonderful? It's not great. He started out, wasn't great. It got better. See, you can get better. And he's in the offseason.
Yes, you can.
So
yes, you can.
So that's another thing you
got to be developed. So we're going to see that. So Chip, you said it. I think Johnny said it, and we had a comment a few minutes ago saying it, talking about PR, and a PR move that everybody makes here and there. So this was obviously this video, as a PR move. Obviously,
100%.
To show the fans that Nick Sirianni's this potentially great coach. Do you guys want to see more videos like this of Nick Sirianni?
I think that you can. I mean, so let's break it down this way, right? Look at the last couple coaches. So you had Andy Reid, right? And Andy Reid was a nobody, but there wasn't in the time of the social media when he came in. Right. So it was okay that we didn't know him. Now things have changed. So then you look at coach number 2 and Chip Kelly comes in. Well, Eagles fans were all clamoring, minus myself, for Chip Kelly. I was like, he runs a college offense and it's going to get called on to. But Chip Kelly, he's cool, he's great, he's wonderful. People knew him coming in. Doug Peterson, there was the trust with the Andy Reid thing and the fact that he was a Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, so they knew him. No one knows who Nick Sirianni is. This is a very smart PR move, and they will keep doing this kind of thing.
I would even like to see more videos of him, with his players, out in town, him out in the street meeting the fans. Eagles, if you want ideas, hit me up at Beard of Knowledge. I'll give you more ideas on how to help the PR, department there. Johnny, do you want more of these videos? Do you think they will do more of them?
I like them because anytime you have someone breaking down film and watching film, I like it. So for me, I really wouldn't say.
You get it, Jude. This is what I wanted to say. Unscripted. Because you could tell today's video, or whenever it was a couple days ago, was not unscripted. It was totally built perfectly and pre-recorded and set to make him look great. I want the unscripted ones. I want the live videos. Him in a film room with his offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator.
Well, there's some for the Colts, him in the film room and the offensive meeting room.
No, I know.
I like that. But for me, anytime anyone's breaking down plays, I'd say yes. But it's what I like. Everyone's different.
Right. All right. So the poll question of the week. I've kind of had to tweak it a little bit for the show. The poll question was, how are we going to equal success or equate or judge success for Jalen Hurts in 2021? And are people going to judge whether we make the playoffs or not? How many wins he has, the always famous term, the eye test, stats like touchdowns, interceptions. Again, over 200 votes on Twitter. I put these polls up every Monday morning. Playoffs? 21% said he's got to make the playoffs for it to be a success. 12% said the win total is how they're going to judge it. 11% stats. And as expected, 54% are going to say the eye test. The problem with the eye test, and this we're going to run this segment around not just Jalen Hurts, but the whole team, different players and stuff like that, how we're going to judge them. Eye test is different for all three of us. I disagree that Eric Wilson, the eye test doesn't pass it for me. It does for Johnny. Chip, the eye test doesn't pass for Jordan Howard. It doesn't for any of us, but that's another whole subject right there. But so how can we judge success and how can we describe the eye test, on being successful for Jalen Hurts and the entire team, for Nick Sirianni, for Jalen Reagor, whoever they draft in the first round? We need to know how we're going to grade the eye test.
So here's the problem. And even though we have been trying desperately to not mention he who must not be named anymore, the problem all ties back to Carson Wentz. So when you talk about the eye test, right? If you look at it logically, it's going to be, how does he command the team? Does he control the offense? Is he a leader by example? Does he make smart choices? Does he get better from week 1 to the end of the year? Does he get better with this new coaching staff? Is the offense built around him to be successful? That's how you should do it. The problem is that half this team is buying, or half of this fan base, is buying Indianapolis Colts Carson Wentz jerseys and saying that Jalen Hurts is never going to be successful and they should have kept Carson Wentz and they should trade Jalen Hurts and that they should draft Justin Fields and that they should trade up for Zach. Well, he's not going to get a fair chance from this fan base. So my eye test is, look, there's going to be a ton of noise because you're playing QB1 in Philadelphia. Can you shut it out and let your playing on the field do the talking?
For me, he's played at Alabama for by far the best college coach ever. A hard-nosed type of person that, he doesn't take any nonsense. So I think he's built different. He's built different than, the last quarterback that was here. To me, I don't think that the noise and all that, I don't think it's going to faze him. So
I don't either.
Eye test, like I said, it's different with everyone because everyone looks at things differently, whether it's in life or sports or whatever it is. So that I wouldn't say wins and losses and okay.
It's not
stats,
wins and losses. Yeah.
You can't just
see
look
it.
at
So I'm going to get to my opinion in a second. I got a little twist to that thought there, Chip. Remind me in a second.
Okay. Because
you can't just look into just stats as well. I think you have to take, it's a culmination of everything kind of. You have to, unfortunately, it's, a little bit of everything you got to look at. And for me, how does he work with these guys that they give him? There's a lot of factors that go into it because a healthy offensive line is going to make any quarterback look pretty good because you're going to be upright. So there's a lot that's going to go into it.
You're basically reading down my list right now. Did you see my piece of paper before the show? Because this is the exact order I'm writing them down in here on what to say. Because it is exactly what you said. You have to take it all together. The eye test, stats actually are part of the eye test. Okay? If his team is healthy, how many turnovers does Jalen Hurts have? If his
that are his fault.
I'm sorry?
That are his fault.
Exactly. And that's the eye test. Is it a misrun route by a wide receiver? Like the Zach Ertz play where he got bumped off the line on that one play early in the season. He didn't run through the press coverage or whatever it was, the interception. That wasn't necessarily on Carson's, completely on his, fault there. It was on Zach Ertz. So you got to take that. And win-losses are part of the eye test. Are we winning or losing? Are we losing games by 3 points and he's got us in it? And just the inexperience in the 2-minute drill or, some of the other rookies make mistakes on the team? Or are we losing games by 20 points? There's a total difference between a successful 4-12 campaign for a rebuilding team and a 4-12, record on a team that's showing no progress whatsoever. So, you have to take the eye test into account, but you have to take wins. The only one on the list that you can't take into account is the playoffs, in my opinion. Yeah. The playoffs because we don't expect the team to make the playoffs. If they do, great. If they don't, whatever. But I think stats play a key factor into it because if the team's healthy, he should be putting up, fair stats, but he shouldn't be turning the ball over because that's not what he did in college.
Except 21% of respondents said that they have to make the playoffs or it's a failed season.
I know.
In which case,
and that's the only one that's boggling my mind.
Right. In which case, every single person, and that's kind of what I was saying. And, A2D made a great point up here saying also, well, it's 1/3 because it's Nick Foles as well. What's so important because of the fact that he's not going to get a fair shake from this fan base. They expect this team to make the playoffs. And this is not right now, as of April 7th, 2021, unless something miraculous changes. This is not a playoff roster. This is not a playoff coaching staff. They need to do things.
That's where us as the best damn podcast Eagles network there is out there.
Best damn podcast.
Fans, on the right path that it's not, necessarily, don't run them out of town.
Yeah, but they're gonna.
He needs a full 16-game, 17-game season. Oops, I forgot about the 17th game. He needs 20 games before you can really judge whether he's, the future of this team or not. And you have to take into account every aspect, not just the eye test, because
I agree.
There's so much into it. If you look at it, what was one of the biggest things that we ran Carson out of town this year on? Turnovers, right?
Turnovers and holding the ball way too damn long and taking hits that he didn't need to. And
yeah, but turnovers were a major issue. Jalen Hurts turned the ball over a lot last year.
Yes, he did.
Don't talk about that.
But he made rookie mistakes. He made rookie mistakes on a team where he wasn't supposed to be the quarterback. It's another example of
and stats go hand in hand.
It's another example of not developing a player and putting him in a position to fail. Right? Jalen Hurts was never supposed to take a single meaningful snap last season.
Exactly.
He wasn't.
But again, that's why also if they have 3 preseason games, it's going to help as well to kind of see what they kind of envision. I know he's not going to play a lot, but the all season being able to be on the field, being able to be with this coaching staff, to learn the system, to then be in some of the preseason games, to kind of have our eyes, the eye test, if you want to say, to kind of see what we got. Now, we may get fooled like we were with Sam Bradford back in 2015. But
who was fooled by Sam Bradford?
The preseason game against the Packers.
No.
Yeah, you say that now.
I could care less if there's a preseason game. I really could care less if there's one preseason game. I want to know that there's full rookie OTAs, all the mini camps and all that stuff. Even if there's some kind of protocol in place where they can't have full 11-on-11 drills. Right. That's all I care about. I want a mini camp. I want to know that there's 4 weeks up in. I mean, I know they don't do Lehigh or Westchester anymore, but I want a full camp with this team together practicing multiple times throughout the offseason. I could care less about the preseason games. Really could.
Right. But I mean, Jalen Hurts took over a team last season, and he took over a team without mini camps, without training camps, and without the expectation or the development over the course of the season that he was going to be the starter. All of a sudden, he's thrown in there in Green Bay, does well, and then has to play a couple more games, and you start to get the film on him, and that's where you start to see a rookie just trying to make things happen. By the last game of the season, where he was pulled to tank, his numbers were deserving of being pulled, but not for Nate Sudfeld. Not for Nate Sudfeld.
So here's how you twist this question, guys. And John, you can go first if you want. Does how we grade Jalen Reagor's success in 2021, is it different for Jalen Reagor, Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, the veterans, Fletcher Cox, Nick Sirianni, John Gannon? Does the grading scale change for each player and each coach, or is it the same thought process for each one? I already know Chip's answer because he's nodding his head. But Johnny, go.
The thing with Reagor and Goddard is health. They need to stay healthy. They stay healthy, they can develop. If they're not healthy, it's not really going to do much of anything. And so
then how do you grade their success this year? How do you know if Reagor is the slot or the deep threat that we expect and need him to be?
He needs to be on the field. He needs to be on the field.
Because he can stay healthy and only catch 30 balls. But is it his fault that he only catches 30 balls? We don't know. So how are you going to grade him?
For me, I'm not going to grade. A lot of people want to grade him and put him up against Justin Jefferson. I'm not going to do that. My grading him receivers. Exactly. My grading is to see how he played last year and compare it to how he played this year. If he's gotten progressively better, then for me, that's a high grade. Same with Goddard. If Goddard can stay healthy and be that player that we thought coming out of 2019 into 2020 to be able to take over that tight end number 1 spot, be able to be a mismatch nightmare for defenses, again, that for me, that's
so Chip, how are you grading, or what are you doing differently with the players and the coaches on this team outside of Jalen Reagor? Because obviously Jalen Hurts is the center, the focal point, because he's the quarterback. Right. Quarterback 1 is always the focal point of every football team.
It ties into the coaching staff and what they can get out of these players, right? So one of the players not on your list, and we love to shit on him on this podcast, but J-Jaw, right?
Absolutely. Again, I wrote his breakout season article last year for All About the Birds in August.
He has been, since coming into the league, downright dog shit terrible.
Absolutely.
So we have to 100% at this point judge the coaching staff. And I know they're in their first season, but these are the players you're being dealt with. This is their baseline. This is where they're at right now with almost zero player development. Can you elevate them, or is that it for them? Because if J-Jaw does not have a good season this year, he will not be in the NFL next season. That is just that is that. Write that down right now. Jalen Reagor was a first-round draft pick. He did not play like one. So you're right. You can't compare him to Justin Jefferson. Just like you can't compare Arcega-Whiteside to DK Metcalf. They're different realms of player. But what you have to do is right. Can you be better than you were the previous season? Because if you drop off from last season, you don't belong in this league. You know, can Jordan Mailata continue his growth and beat out Andre Dillard? Can Goddard, like you said, Goddard's more of a health thing. But Rager's got to start acting like at least a number 2 receiver on this team, at least, and let somebody else. I mean, I love him to be a number 1. But I don't think he is. He's not a go up and catch the ball kind of dominant guy. You know, is Travis Fulgham, was he a flash in the pan because he disappeared after the 2 weeks that he was a superstar? Can Darius Slay be Revis Island over there? There are every single player has a different grading system.
What I think you're trying to say is grading a positional player or a defensive positional player is different than grading a quarterback.
Yes.
Because of the realm and the importance of the team. Reagor, even if he only catches 30 balls, because Jalen Hurts is hurt or not good or the offensive line doesn't protect, is he getting separation at the line?
Yep.
Is he running the routes properly? Jordan Mailata, you know, a great run blocking lineman. Does he improve his first step back? Did he learn anything from Jason Peters when he's taking that first quick step back? You know, you could see on film something Darius Slay's, you know, technique, you know, if his footwork improved. It's different for quarterbacks, but for positional players, you don't even need stats. You can use film eye test on positional players. But then coaching is different, in my opinion, because coaching, if any player takes a step back, or if a lot of players take a step back, or even just stay at that line, that's how you grade the coach. You know, wins and losses are out the window on the coaches too, to an extent. You know, it's the players' success equates to the, you know, coaches, whether they're doing their job right.
Johnny, you're the draft guy. So, I mean, this kind of ties into what you bring up a lot. I think that what's really important about the fact that they are getting all these first round picks and they are stockpiling draft picks is that they can take this season, see what they have currently on the roster, and then use next year's draft to start to fill some of the glaring weaknesses. I think that's what if I'm going to take a glimpse into the Eagles organization plan, that's to me what they have to be doing.
Well, next year's draft is going to be deeper and a lot better because a lot of players are going back to school with, you know, all this stuff, and it's been known. So for them to stockpile all these picks for a year that's probably going to be a lot deeper than this year, and this year's a good draft as well. But
it's a good draft class.
It's smart. It's smart. I know what the assets were and everything and all that, but you need to get these young players, and the more you have, especially top end picks, the easier it becomes to start being able to plug and play some of these people than trying to hit on these 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounders, which it's about 10%, 5% chance they even become anything.
Right.
So that's a good segue, because one of the last 2 segments affects this year's draft. You know, NFL news that didn't directly physically affect the Eagles has affected the Eagles and their draft. So the New York Jets, the football Jets, traded Sam Bradford already to the Carolina Panthers. You know, everyone loves Matt Rule. I love him. He's a great coach, you know, for 3 draft picks, 6th round pick this year, a 2nd and a 4th next year. Obviously Carolina picked up his 5th year option already for Sam Darnold. We could talk for a second if you want, whether Darnold or, you know, Bridgewater's the starter there in Carolina. I'm not even worried about that.
It's Darnold.
It's Darnold. But the main question is that takes Carolina out of the running for a quarterback now in the draft, in the first round of the draft, at least. Maybe they draft a quarterback 2nd, 3rd, 4th round in case, you know, Darnold doesn't, you know, do what he's supposed to do. But now all of a sudden, another one of those offensive weapons has potentially slipped out of the grasp of the Eagles. We all agree we want defense. We want the cornerback. We want the linebacker, whatever. But we know the Eagles, they want weapons. They want wide receivers. They want tight ends. That's what they want with that first-round pick. Johnny, you're the draft expert. How much does this affect the Eagles at 12?
It's going to affect it a little bit, but don't be surprised if you see, somebody trade up with Atlanta for a quarterback. If that doesn't happen, I see Atlanta going Pitts, but a team like Detroit could go quarterback. If a player like Justin Fields falls, it's not an ideal thing because they have Goff there, but you need somebody after that. To me, I could see that, but it all lies in with Carolina. Do they go off of the tackle? Do they go linebacker? Do they go cornerback? So there's going to be a lot that, and even the Cowboys, if Pitts is there, Cowboys wind up taking them. Then it puts in the Eagles can trade back up, but it's that whole trade just threw a huge wrench in there because Atlanta now is sitting pretty at number 4 for, hey, if somebody wants, say it's Trey Lance or Justin Fields, come up and get it, but it's going to cost you. And if they don't, then it's going to throw a huge wrench. It's going to open up a world of possibilities, which to me, it's kind of fun because you don't know who's going where.
Right.
So the problem is, to me, it scares me because with Howie Roseman, you don't know who's going to fall when and whether he's going to make that right decision or not, or if he's going to make a rash decision, trade back like Chip wants, trade up back to 8. We're going to get into trading up to 8 in a second here. But see, the point is that, there was thoughts at 12 that Devontae Smith and Waddle, like 2 or 3 weapons may have still been there at 12. Now the chances have taken a step back, and I think that really hurts. I don't think Howie saw this move coming when he traded back to 12. I think that's what I'm getting at. And I think miscalculated the timing of his trade, hence causing this problem.
I think one thing that's interesting is, San Francisco now at 3. I mean, they're not taking a quarterback because they've signed the best long arm in the NFL, Nate Sudfeld, to be on their team. So
I forgot to add that to the agenda.
So now, I mean, Nate Sudfeld is going to compete with Jimmy G for the starting job over in San Francisco. He is the Joe Montana 49er. No, I mean, I look at this draft. I look at this draft, and like Johnny said, it is a good draft. Now, I think that, we all are in love with Kyle Pitts as a player. And
everybody should be.
And we should be. He won't be available at 12. So if the Eagles are in love with Kyle Pitts, then they go up and get him. And we've seen how he do it before, and we now have the draft capital next season to do it. I don't think they do that. I'm telling you, this team is not – they're not competing this year, and this is not a team where one player is going to fix it. So does the team –
I know you've been pumping that point out for weeks on multiple shows, but you still have to draft impact players so that you can build your roster. And if you keep every year trading back because you're not going to win the next year – you're never going to get that impact player.
But I don't
That's why I want to stay at 6.
Right, but they're not going to trade back starting next season. They're going to start to use those picks to trade up. I think this season,
not if they totally fall apart this year, because next year you're going to say the same thing, saying that, well, the team's not going to compete next year, so let's trade back and get more draft capital for the next year. And then the process just keeps going on and on.
Because like we keep saying, the NFL has a much quicker turnaround. It has to. But if you look at the team at 12. You're telling me, and I know that there is a difference between making a pick at 12 and 18. I understand that.
Difference between 6 and 12 as well.
Exactly. So they were willing to trade back to get a less impact player. If they trade back to 18, they can also get probably a second and or a third as well. So now we say they have to put 53 players on the team. Okay, how do you do that? By getting more. So by the end of this draft, you're going to see probably 11, 12 players, but they're going to be towards the late 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round coming off the board. I would not be surprised to see the Eagles trade back further.
I know you say that. I know.
I have a situation for you here. They stay at 12. They get J.C. Horn. Into the 20s, there's still a receiver there they like. They can trade up, use Miami's pick in 37, and go get a guy like Terrace Marshall. For me, if they get Horn and Marshall, to me, that's
a good draft.
Trade him back.
That's a great trade. You could substitute Horn for multiple cornerbacks in that spot and get Marshall, and I'd be happy with that because there's 2 or 3 cornerbacks that I actually wouldn't mind at 12. But you say pick 37 because a guy I love to follow. I know you follow him too, Johnny. Chris Infante. he put out a post yesterday, I believe it was. He said, there's going to be at 8 still a weapon, whether it's Smith,
Yes,
Pitts,
there is.
Foley, whatever. Moving back up to 8 to get that impact player. I think it's a little too much, but we still have Zach Ertz as a trade asset. So he was talking about Zach Ertz, the 12th pick, and the 70th pick to move back up to 8. I think it's too much. Do you think it's too much, or what's the value of going from 12 to 8? A couple days or a couple weeks before the draft.
12 to 8, you would probably have to get rid of 70.
And Ertz?
No, not Anders.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like 84 in Ertz, or is it 84 or 86, whatever we have?
80,
I think 70.
Ertz, but I feel they should also, maybe Carolina throws in a 2022 4th or 5th, get something else in there for not this year, but next year. But the thing is, his value isn't going to go high. It's not going to go up. It's steadily going down. But for the Eagles aspect, it's getting that $4.9 million in cap space as well.
And so George, Ertz isn't tradable on his own.
Right.
Ertz is part of the package. See, we're giving up a third round. I'm talking about giving up a third round draft pick and the Panthers trading 4 spots back. We're not talking about trading Zach Ertz for a third round pick. We're using it as a package to move up a couple spots.
To me,
and that's where I think he has some value.
If Pitts or Chase drops to 8, we'll say, or whatever, and Carolina wants to move back because they want an offensive tackle or something, whatever,
right,
or a corner, and they know they can get it at 12, and you trade up and you give that up for a guy, say it's Pitts. I think Chase will be way gone before that. Say it's Pitts. Is it a success?
If you trade up to get
trade
Pitts?
Basically Ertz and 70 for Pitts,
yeah.
I mean, I would have to see who's available at 70 at that moment if I'll like it or not. Because I'm a big fan of Jabir. If I'm not getting Michael Parsons, I had my eye on Cox with the 70th pick. That was where my eyes keep, because I love my defense. 2 of my first 3 picks are going to be defense every time I do a mock draft. But on the flip side of the equation, if you're talking about Pitts, I'm willing to give up something to get Kyle Pitts on this team.
I agree with that. And he's definitely not going to be available at 12. So if he does start to fall, maybe Howie pulls some draft day magic. But Zach Ertz is better off playing out a season on this team next season. Look, we have seen the market for him absolutely disappear because he had such a horrific season. So what makes sense for Zach Ertz is to go out there as a Philadelphia Eagle this season and reopen his market value. It also helps the Eagles because there's that 2 tight end set that Indianapolis always ran, and then for Sirianni is going to run. So Zach Ertz being on this team is reasonable, not trading him just to trade him. It's not a quarterback, right? Carson Wentz, we traded because he was going to throw a hissy fit if he was still here because he was going to be the backup quarterback.
Absolutely.
Tight end is not quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. Johnny, any other – I mean, we know Chip wants to trade back per se, but
I don't want to. They're going to.
Yeah, well, that's your thought process. What are your other – are there any other creative ways you can get with that 12th pick, moving up or moving back with what assets we have? Is it even worth it? I mean, again, I'm still sticking that it's not worth it per se, but,
Like for me, it's that 8-9 slot. That's the slot where if a guy drops that you really want, you can get up to that spot and give up your 3rd round pick. Or if you really want, maybe give up your 3rd round pick next year. I don't know what that team's going to want, but if a player like Kyle Pitts drops and you see the Eagles, who even knows if the Eagles think Kyle Pitts is a top 10 talent? We don't know that. We don't know what their board's going to look like. But as fans that we're looking and seeing, we want Kyle Pitts because he's this freak, this athlete and all that, they could just stay at 12 because they really want one of those corners, and they know one of those corners most likely is going to fall to them. So you can trade up, but 8-9 to me would be the spot because you're not going to trade with the Giants or the Cowboys. That's just not going to happen, in my opinion.
You're not.
So that's the spot.
Okay. All right. We got lots of draft talk coming still. We got weeks to 3 weeks till the draft. We are going to go live on draft night right here on the All About the Birds Network, probably about 5-10 minutes before the draft starts. And we're going to stay live on the air till the Eagles pick. And we're going to break down every pick that comes up and goes, it happens, whatever, and then really dive into the Eagles, whatever they do. Hopefully you don't trade back too far because then that'll be like a 6-hour show and, we all have jobs in the morning. So, we'll see about that and all. But I was talking to the guys before the news of the free agent signings. Slow news week. Got to throw some fun segments into the show.
Jersey numbers.
You got to throw some fun things, whether it's music, movies, TV, whatever. The granddaddy of them all is happening this weekend. WrestleMania 37. We're not really wrestling fans anymore. I used to be a huge wrestling fan. Hey, one of my favorite WrestleMania moments was just from a few years ago from my boy Daniel Bryan. The original beard I grew like 3-4 years ago was because I love the story of Daniel Bryan. And I love Daniel Bryan, who he is. So I'm bringing up to the guys. Lots of athletes, lots of football players have participated in wrestling and WrestleMania. A lot of athletes, a lot of celebrities. Johnny, I want your favorite wrestling or WrestleMania memory or moment as a child, growing up or yesterday, if there was a moment from yesterday, whatever it was.
It was Stone Cold Steve Austin beating Shawn Michaels for the title. And it goes in line with a favorite athlete or, figure of that aspect, Mike Tyson. So that whole aspect leading up to it was great. And, Stone Cold winning, getting the championship from Michaels' first time being a champion. So all that really made me, now I was only like 8 years old. So, I was still a young kid thinking
I believe that was like
real.
WrestleMania 14 or 13 at that point.
Yeah,
I actually think that the next year at WrestleMania 15 in Philly was a cooler moment because he beat The Rock for it. And that was when the whole, Vince McMahon Stone Cold issue happened.
Yeah. Him and The Rock were by far the best matches that I've ever watched.
Greatest first title, greatest stories.
Yeah.
Chip, I know you're not a big wrestling fan. Can you?
I used to be.
You're not old enough to remember Lawrence Taylor in the main event of WrestleMania against Bam Bam Bigelow way back in the day. But, are there any sports moments? You had Bam Bam Bigelow, Mike Tyson, he already, brought up. Rob Gronkowski was wrestling a few years ago. Are there any athlete moments from WrestleMania or wrestling in general that stick out to you that were like, wow, that was pretty fun?
So I was always, when I did watch wrestling, I was always a big Hardy Boys guy, right? Okay. So I remember and here you go. There is a WrestleMania moment. I just had to remember that it was actually from WrestleMania. I had to remember that it was from WrestleMania, and it was WrestleMania 17. It was the TLC match between
legendary.
Oh my God. And they're on, literally Jeff Hardy is hanging from the belt, and Edge spears him flying off a ladder, and they both die.
You know what I mean? Both basically died the third time of the match, actually.
You know what I mean? So having those moments where people are like, oh, well, it's fake. Okay, maybe it's scripted, but it was always an athletic thing to watch these guys do that and break their bodies. And I'm always like, I'm a huge Mankind fan because, you want to talk about breaking your body. I mean,
So you say how much of an athlete, Peanut checking in here on YouTube, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. Huge moment. Warrior pinning Hogan clean like that. Ultimate moment. Love that. But you're bringing up athletes and how tough it is. Go back and watch interviews, of Lawrence Taylor. Probably the greatest defensive player of all time, in my opinion. I had nightmares as a child of Lawrence Taylor. I was literally afraid of that guy on the football field. You watch after his match, other NFL players came out that were backstage and had to carry him to the back. He won the match. Storyline-wise, he didn't get beat, whatever. He said preparing and wrestling that 10-minute or 12-minute match with Bam Bam Bigelow, who's, a legendary hero in my mind, pretty much died because saving somebody from a burning building and everything in real life. That match was more taxing on his body than playing a full NFL football game. And I think that just shows how cool wrestling is that, or underrated wrestling is because, it's cool, it's not cool, whatever, but it takes a lot out of you to do that.
Well, and also it's a lot of the adrenaline stuff of it all. So anytime, if you've ever played sports at all of any reason, you understand that you work yourself up for a game or in this situation, a match. And then after that, it does take time to wind down. So these are things where you are putting everything into it for, 15, 20, 25 minutes. And then the come down from that is your body takes a while. And, like you mentioned with what you just said, he had to be carried back. Now, how much of it's acting, look, my favorite wrestler of all time is The Rock because he was also a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, he wasn't a great wrestler. He was just a great actor and a great storyteller. And you could tell he was going to have an acting career that was successful back in 95, 96 when he was first starting.
Right. So that's it for me. I mean, I'm a big fan of that.
Just a quick talk of WrestleMania. It's a great thing. I'm going to try to every few episodes, especially during the slow off season, bring up a different topic. Try to find something that gives us a little fun, something other football. It's just fun to talk about. And again, I'm a big wrestling fan, always have been. Don't watch it as much as I used to, but it's there. It's also Masters weekend. If you didn't check out my show, I got to plug it. Fairway to Heaven. Go watch the Fairway to Heaven show on the All About the Birds Network from last night. Then go play some bets on golf. There's a lot of money to be made this week with the Masters, and I'm wearing my green jacket all week because it's the only time of the year I can wear my Masters green jacket. Do you guys got anything else to say before we wrap this package up in a neat bow?
No, I think
the Phillies are crushing it. But
Sixers beat the Celtics last night. The Flyers. Anyway, we'll leave that for your show to ruin the Flyers there, Chip. So again,
you know what? No, hold up, and I know Matt's not watching right now, but I will tell you the Flyers always win on Monday nights. Always.
Okay. Because you're not watching them.
No, I have it on my TV over here. Apparently, what I need to be just doing is every time the Flyers tip off, or drop the puck. Sorry, I went basketball there. That was outstanding. Every time the Flyers drop the puck, I just need to be also doing a live show.
Oh, man. So, anyway, rest of the schedule. I see someone saying the rest of the schedule. Obviously, we've got the same weekly schedule as always. This is our Wednesday flagship show. Next show will be Friday night. I'm not going to forget you, Peanut, this time. The YouTube exclusive show, Birds, Beer, and BS, only on YouTube. Sometimes they do it live. Sometimes they don't. But make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel. Make sure you're giving thumbs up and sharing all that out, commenting on YouTube. We'd greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get that subscription. We're borderline 200. We'd love to get that up higher. Then Saturday night is AET Birds Draft Talk with Johnny Ulek and Tom Barnett. Then we've got Monday night.
Well, there's a slight change with the draft show. We have a guest coming on. He had to change his schedule around, so it'll be Friday night, 9 p.m. Rob Motti's coming on, talk a little bit about the draft. He had a couple insight, little tidbits today, so something we're going to talk about, Tommy and I, with him. So,
all right, so we've got two shows on Friday night. We got Birds, Beer, and BS, and we got the AT Birds Draft Show with Rob Motty. Yeah, that's great. It's a two-time guest on the All About the Birds Network. Rob Motty, one of the best from the AP press there. Love Rob Motty. Monday night, we got Chips and Dish as always. Next Tuesday, we also will have the next episode of Fairway to Heaven. We'll be doing a lot of Masters talk. We'll be talking about next week's event and all that fantasy good stuff. And then we'll be right back here next Wednesday at 9:15 with more All About the Birds weekly report. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. It was a fun show. Great debate. This threesome worked out exactly as I planned. It didn't. I've never had a threesome last an hour and 10 minutes before. It's great. So anyway, we need to thank our sponsors real quick.
Did you say you need to spank our sponsors?
No, thank our sponsors. You're hearing things. Your mind is in the gutter. Okay.
Well, he did say earlier he does love cocks.
You did say he said he had his eye on cocks.
I did.
He had his eye on cocks. And I let that one go. I let that one slide.
We need to make sure this episode gets deleted now, so that cannot be, framed on me. All right, anyway.
Johnny, I'm gonna need a clip of that.
Yeah, I know exactly. I'm sure it's gonna be all over. So, sponsors, let's promote our sponsors because we need to make some money doing this at some point in time. If you would like to be a sponsor on our show, hit us up. We can set you up. Hempbombs.com, premium CBD products. I use it every single night. Actually, I got one of their packets right here on my desk. Okay. Ready to go at all times whenever I need that. 20% off with AAT Birds at checkout. Greatest company there is for CBD products. 99jerseys.com. You get great stuff like Sugar Shane Falco right there. 20% off with AAT Birds as your promo code. Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Yes, your balls will thank you. Not only do you get 20% off, you get free shipping as too. So it's great products. They sent us a fantastic care package to get us set up to really understand what they do there. We love Manscaped. Of course, you can check out our store, aatbirds.com/shop. Get the gear that, we've designed and put up on there with my nice beard, Chip's face, on your shirt, whatever you want. We've got so much great stuff on there. So make sure you check all that stuff out. We greatly appreciate any and all support
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Support for All About the Birds is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. Manscaped hooked us up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit, including the Lawnmower 3.0, which comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. The Perfect Package also includes a deodorant for your undercarriage to prevent odors and chafing, a reviving lotion, a pair of boxers and a t-shirt, not to mention a travel bag to store all your grooming goodies. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code AATBIRDS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.